DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the only place where you will get the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of that, you get something else. You get the personal initiative. This is that go-getter energy, that self-starter energy that moves anyone out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one package. What you get is the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the book, the show, known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic: your current opportunity is the best opportunity that you have. Not something that happened in your past. That's not your best opportunity. Something that you think is coming up in the future that may or may not occur. Even if it does, that is not your best opportunity. Your best opportunity is the one that you have right now. Whenever we are selling, any form of selling, whether you're selling a product or service, you're selling someone on an idea, you're selling someone on doing something for you or stopping doing something to you, we usually buy into things, or if we are the salesperson, we look for people to buy into things that are presented as new. So if you're a salesperson, you want to show somebody something that is new. Even if it's not new, you want to give them a reason to believe that it's new to them. Maybe it's a new angle, maybe it's a new approach, maybe it's a new way of doing things. If you're a salesperson, you're looking for something that's new. If you're a customer, you're looking for something, or if you're a salesperson rather, you're presenting things as new because people like things that are new. Even if there's one little new thing about it, you want to emphasize that new thing, because human beings, we like new stuff. We like something that is a fresh opportunity. As a consumer, you know this. You think about the way your purchasing habits, your purchasing decisions. We're looking for something that is a fresh idea, a new opportunity. We don't want something that's old. We don't want something that's been sitting around. We don't want something that's been gathering dust on the shelves simply because it's been there. Not even that we already know about it, not even because we've consumed it. It could be something you've never consumed, never used, never occurred to you, and would be great for you if you started using it now. But if you know that it came out 2 years ago, you are less apt to engage with it or to consume it simply because it's, quote, old, close quote. Whereas something that is maybe as 50% effective, 50% as useful for you, you're going to take it simply because it's new. You'll buy it and pay twice as much money than the thing that would be more effective for you simply because it's a new thing. It's something that hasn't been around yet, something that hasn't occurred to you before, something you haven't engaged with before. Consumers want something that's new. If you're a salesperson, find an angle that allows people to believe whatever you're offering them is new, because that's what human beings are attracted to. However, when you are doing anything other than selling, I'm just talking about you as a person, you have to stick to what you have and you got to work with it. Whatever it is you're working on right now, you got to put the time in. You got to put the work in on your game to get the results that you want to get out of it. Some time must be invested. We all know the 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, focus. Is the reason why time is the first one. Time is the most valuable investment you will ever make. It's the only one that cannot be renewed. It's the only one that cannot be replaced. It's the only one that if you mess it up, you can't get it back. Or you can make a big mistake with money and make the money back. If you make a big mistake with time, you can't get that time back. So time is a very important thing that you must put into anything you want to get a real result out of, anything that's going to last and stand the test of time. So the idea that I want you to understand is, if you are selling, meaning you're trying to persuade another person to do something, you want to give them some reason to believe that whatever you're offering them is new. But when you are doing or buying or anything other than selling, don't go chasing after everything that's new. All right. So these are two different ideas you need to hold in your mind. I'm giving you two contradictory ideas here based on the situation that you're in. And we didn't even get into the first point yet. All right. That's how much value I'm giving you here on the show. I already gave you something right there that you could take and start applying to your life right now. You're going to get tangible results from it. And we didn't even get into the points yet. Do you understand that? And this is about, today's topic is about sticking with what you are doing, even through the inevitable adversity that will come with it, and not going seeking what's the next opportunity, what's the new opportunity I can get in, because obviously this one isn't working, which is what a lot of human beings do. As soon as something is not going the way that they want it to go, they start looking for a new opportunity when they haven't even gotten everything they could get out of the current opportunity. That's why today's topic is the topic. The title, once again, your current opportunity is your best opportunity. Let's get into it. Point number one. The more time you have in the game, the more credibility you have in the game. The more credibility you have in the eyes of the the audience members, the consumers, the other people who are in the game who may be gauging your abilities and trying to figure out if you're worth something, if you're worth listening to, if you're worth their time. People look for how much time you have in the game to decide how credible you are. We agree. Everybody agree with this? I mean, if you hear about somebody who's brand new today, or it's your first time hearing about a person today, one of the first things you're going to do, what you're going to do, you're going to Google that person, right? Or you're going to ask somebody who you know who may know about that person. And one of the things that you're trying to find out, all right, yeah, I heard about this person. I heard they were doing this and that. The first thing you want to find out unconsciously maybe is, how long have they been doing this? How much have I missed? How much do I not know about this individual? You read a book by somebody and you said, this is a pretty good book. Or maybe you heard them on an interview and they said they had a book, and then you go look it up and find out they wrote 15 books. You're like, damn, this person has been in the game. This person is for real. This person is not just this flash in the pan who got lucky with one idea. This person's been doing this for a long time. Maybe I'm the only one who didn't know about it. We lend credibility to anything or anyone who has been around for a long time, whatever you consider to be long. The longer someone is around, the longer someone is doing their thing, the more credibility they have. We appreciate people for time in the game. Why? Because we trust it. It's not as easy to trust something or someone that is brand new, because we don't know in our minds, we don't know how long is this going to be around. Maybe it's just around right now. Maybe it's just is the current trend, or is the current fad, is the thing that's hot right now, but is it going to be around a year from now, 5, 10 years from now? But we find out about something today and we come to realize, damn, this thing has been around already for 10 years, already for 20 years. This person's already been in the business for 7 years. Damn, I need to catch up because they've been around here. Time in the game equals credibility, people. If you needed, for example, let's say you needed open heart surgery, or somebody you love needs open heart surgery. Which surgeon do you want performing that open heart surgery on yourself or your loved one? You want the guy who has already performed this exact same operation 265 times, or you want the newbie open heart surgeon who's fresh out of medical school? Which one do you want performing on your heart where your life is on the line? Why? So we know which one you're going to pick. You're going to pick the person who's been in the game longer, who's done it 260 plus times. Why is that? Because we trust somebody who has time in the game. Longevity matters. Being new is interesting. Being new may bring a fresh perspective. Being new allows you to, maybe you feel more comfortable making mistakes. You feel more comfortable maybe not knowing things. You feel more comfortable with people not knowing you for whatever reason. But longevity matters. Longevity is credibility in the game. Now, while that newbie could perform open heart surgery, mess up, kill you, and your family could get rich off the medical malpractice lawsuit, you wouldn't be around to celebrate it. And even if it was one of your loved ones on that operating table, they mess up, kill that person because the newbie messed up on the surgery. You don't want to be the test case, right? You don't want to be the guinea pig for the person who has no time in the game. This is the way that you look at things whenever you make decisions as a consumer. And it's the same way that people are looking at you when they're making decisions about you. How much time do you have in the game? Have you proven that you can do it? Do you have a track record that shows that you're good? Well, it's great to get new experiences in life. I mean, getting new experiences is something that you should always be doing if you want to keep yourself as a valuable individual. So you always have some fresh perspectives and some fresh ways of thinking and some fresh things to offer a conversation. Also think about this. If you're an owner of a company or a manager, you're working in HR, you're hiring someone for a job, and the applicant that you're sitting in front of, person who's in for the interview, you look at their resume, you see that every job that they've had, they stayed at that job for somewhere between 6 and 12 months before they left that job and moved on to another one. They got a whole list of jobs that they worked somewhere between 6 and 12 months before they moved on to the next one. What do you expect they're going to do if you hired them? You already know what your expectation is going to be of this person. They're going to be around for 6 to 12 months, and then they're going to bounce to their next job because that's what they've done before. The number one indicator of future performance is past performance. If you're dating someone who's 44 years old and they've never been in a long-term relationship, how long do you think your relationship with that person is going to last? Now, can people change in life? Of course. We all can change. Anybody can change. But most of the time, people don't change. That's just the facts. Now, there's a small percentage of us, I say 2% of us out of the population, who's looking for ways of changing ourselves in a positive way, who are listening to material like what you get here on Work on Your Game, who do things like reading books and hiring coaches and going to seminars and investing time, money, attention, energy, focus into ways to make yourself a more valuable individual. But I want you to understand that 98 out of 100 people don't do any of that. Can people change? Absolutely. Do people change? Most of the time, no. Point number 2. Today's topic is why your current opportunity is your best opportunity in life. Let me give you a definition of this word opportunity, so you understand where we're all on the same page here. An opportunity is a set of circumstances that makes something possible. And I want you to understand that your set of circumstances that makes something possible, even if you think that set of circumstances is not that good right now, you don't think it's really looking the way that you want it to look, you don't think this is going to produce any type of result, understand something, that the grass is not always greener on the other person's lawn. You're looking at your circumstances, right? Your set of circumstances, your opportunity, and you say this doesn't look that great. But then you look and you see someone else's set of circumstances and you say their opportunity looks a whole lot better than the opportunity that I have. You're looking across the lawn, or you're looking on the other side of that fence and you see the grass looks a whole lot greener over there with their circumstances. I want you to understand that grass may not be as green as it looks once you're standing in it and you own it. The current set of circumstances that you have on your hands is the only set that you can be 100% sure of being exactly as it presents itself. Because you know exactly what your current circumstance is. You know all the intricacies, you know all the details, you know all the little things about it that are not obvious to anybody who's looking from the outside, no matter how close they are to the sideline, how close they are to actually seeing it. They could be right up close to the screen, right up close to the sideline of the court watching the game. They don't know the situation as well as you do when you're in the game. Any of you ever been to a basketball game and been in the front row, sitting courtside of the game? I don't care if it's an NBA game, a high school game, any game. The person who has front row seats to the basketball game does not understand what's going on that court anywhere nearly as well as the player who's actually on the court playing. Even though the player with the person, the fan with the front row seats is merely feet away from actually being on the court, you are miles away from understanding that circumstance as well as the person who's on the court playing. You understand? Metaphorically speaking, that is. What you need to understand is that your set of circumstances, where you are right now, is the only thing that you can be 100% sure of. And even if those other pastures, those other patches of grass, those other lawns look a whole lot greener than the one that you have right now, the circumstances look a lot more favorable to your success than where you are right now, understand that it may not be like that once you get over there. So you better damn well be sure, if you're going to jump to a different set of circumstances, that you're being smart with your decision. Because you make the wrong decision, you may not be able to go back to that old grass, or somebody else may have taken it over, turned it into a lush, beautiful garden, and you're wondering, hey, what the hell happened? Why didn't my garden look like that when I was over there? Maybe because you didn't make the most of the circumstance. You thought the grass was going to be greener where you are. Okay, let's see. Again, you may not be able to undo that decision if it turns out to be the wrong one. Seneca, who is a person who's credited with being I guess we'll call him I don't even know what the word would be, an expert, let's just say that for lack of a better term, expert on the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism is all about detaching yourself from your emotions and approaching life as unemotional state as possible, taking things as they come, meditating on the possible dangers and downfalls and pitfalls of life. So if and when those things happen, they don't overcome you. They don't overtake you. You don't feel overwhelmed by the fact that something didn't go your way. You meditate on the fact that things might not go your way. That things may not go the way that you expected. The fact that you will inevitably one day die. So when that day comes, you're not all hysterical about the fact that this thing is happening to you, understanding that it happens to everybody and is eventually going to occur to you. Seneca wrote a book called Letters from a Stoic. I don't think he actually wrote it to be a book. He wrote a whole bunch of letters that was all about this philosophy of Stoicism. I don't think he was calling it Stoicism back then, but that's what people came to call it. And they put a bunch of these letters together and put it into a book. It's called Letters from a Stoic. I strongly suggest that you read that book. And a quote that I want to give you from Seneca, he said, "The person you are matters more than the place to which you go." And this is tying into point number 2. This is driving home point number 2, which is the grass is not always greener when you jump a different fence. As the saying goes, the grass is greener where it's being watered, where the grass is being taken care of, where you're not letting your dogs piss and shit in the grass, where you're not letting people walk on the grass, where you're not parking your car on the grass, when you're hiring a landscaper to come every 2 weeks and cut the grass, where you're feeding the grass, where you're getting enough sunlight and water on the grass. That's where the grass is going to be green. So it's not about you going to another place and all of a sudden the circumstances are great because the circumstances were terrible where you used to be. It's you. You go with you everywhere that you go, right? As the saying goes, no matter where you go, there you are. The person who you are matters a whole lot more than the place to which you go, as Seneca said. So if you're the type of person who everywhere you go, green grass sprouts up and grows and what's the word I'm looking for here? And the word is just slipping my mind. See, this kind of happens sometimes when you're going off the top on a show like this. Prospering, that's the word I'm looking for. If everywhere you go, the green grass grows and it's in abundance and it's prospering, then the green grass will be right there where you are right now. Now, if you're in a place and it seems to be not be any green grass, you got a dirt lawn. It ain't even no grass, it's just dirt and a whole bunch of weeds, and you got dandelions and there's dog shit in there and it's piss in there, and no matter what you do, it seems no grass is growing. Understand, anywhere you go, that's going to be the result. Why? Because the circumstance is not stronger than you. You are the circumstance. Anywhere you go, there you are. Point number 3. Today's topic is your current opportunity is your best opportunity. So point number 2, you need to understand that you personally, you are the opportunity. So if you think the situation that you're in is not quite working, is not looking good, it's not the situation is not working and not looking good, it's you that's not working and not looking good. And point number 3, stop running away every time things get tough. This is if you could take one sentence away from what I'm talking about to you here today, of your current opportunity being your best opportunity, this is it right here. What happens to a lot of us when things are not going our way is, instead of buckling down and doubling down on our discipline and tripling up on our mental toughness and saying, okay, let me recognize that this situation is not going the way that I wanted to go. Things are not looking the way that I thought they would look right now. I'm not getting the ROI from my investments that I expected. How about I double down? How about I buckle down? How about I toughen up? How about I stop bitching and figure out how to make this situation work? That's what 2% of people do when things are not going their way. You know what the other 98% of people do? When things aren't looking the way that they want them to look in a certain circumstance, if they believe there's an opportunity to ditch the current situation and go somewhere else, 98% of people start having wandering eyes. Y'all know what I mean when I say wandering eyes, right? You stop looking at the situation that you're in and trying to figure out how to make it work, and you start looking around at other situations. Let me see where there may be more favorable circumstances. Let me see where the grass might be a little bit greener. Let me see where things might work out in my favor a little bit easier, more easily than things are working in my favor right here. Let me try that out. Or at least let me go browse. You know, let me explore my options. This is what 98% of people do when things are not working in their favor. They start running away every time things get tough. And they don't run away on foot. Sometimes people run away on foot, but oftentimes people run away mentally. People run away emotionally. People run away spiritually, and they kind of check out. When I say check out, I don't mean check out like looking at something, like checking somebody out. I mean check out like when is the day that your hotel stay is over and you need to check out of that hotel room before they charge you for an extra day. That's what I mean. People check out when things are getting tough in their lives. Over and over and over again. And again, look at people's past. You want to know what people are going to do in the future, just look at their past. Most of the time, we do the same things over and over and over again because human beings, we are creatures of habit. Yes, people can change, but most of the time we don't. Someone who runs away when things get tough, if you're around someone who seems to be mentally checking out wherever you are right now because things are getting tough for them, I guarantee you this is not the first time they've done that. And I also guarantee you something else. This ain't the last time they're going to do it. Now, you may want to try to convince yourself otherwise. You can make that mistake if you want to, but don't say nobody told you. This is most people's major problem when it comes to mental toughness, that when things are not going their way, they mentally check out. And while they are still there, they're not really there. You know what I'm saying? You can't go a mile deep in anything. We talked about going an inch wide and a mile deep in episode 1254. You can't go a mile deep in anything in life and build that longevity that we talked about in point number 1 if you stop digging as soon as the soil gets tough. You know, if you're going to literally dig a mile deep anywhere in the world, you're going to get to a point where that soil gets a little bit hard. It's not as easy to dig your shovel into that dirt and scoop up another shovel full of dirt. It's going to get a little bit tough. You're going to have to tax your muscles and push really hard to get through that soil at that point, and you're trying to go a mile deep. A mile is 5,280 feet. All right, you're only 1,000 feet so far, and the soil started to get tough. What you gonna do? You gonna quit? So you're gonna have all these shallow holes that you've dug, none of them getting as deep as you're supposed to let them get. This is what you see when you're looking at the person who worked somewhere for 6 to 12 months and their whole resume, every job they had, the last 10 jobs, didn't stay at any of them more than a year. Why is that? Is it because they were at 10 terrible jobs? Probably not. Probably because they have this mindset of running away every time things get tough. So they just went to 10 different jobs and the same thing happened every time. Why? Because they're the same person every time. You have to learn to hang in there and keep working when something is not working the way that you want it to be working. That's why this show is called Work on Your Game. Work is work is the emphasis point of this whole thing. All right, there's a reason why this show is called Work on Your Game. Is we want to turn away the people who don't want to work. Anybody who doesn't want to do any kind of work, listen, you're not going to listen to this show, because as soon as I tell you the name of it, you're like, oh, I'm good. And I don't mean I'm good as in like I'm satisfied. I mean I'm good, like I'm gonna stay away from what you're doing and go over here. You got to stick with whatever you decide to get involved in and work through it when things are getting tough, because 98% of people don't do that. You want to be a person who has longevity. You want to be a person who has the credibility. You want to be able to go a mile deep in what you've done. You want to put yourself in a position to call yourself an expert and be able to back it up with some hard facts, some tangible truths behind what you've done to call yourself an expert and people believe it. You got to stay and work through it. If you're on a sports team and the coach benched you used to be playing, but now you're not playing at all, don't quit. Don't go on social media and bitch to somebody who's supposed to tell you what to do because things aren't working out in your favor. You know what you need to do. Keep working hard and practice every day, just like the other guys who weren't playing when you were getting in the game. If you don't have seniority at work and things are not going in your favor, listen, you will never get seniority if you keep quitting and switching jobs, or you'll always be the new person everywhere you go. Simple math, right? That's why discipline is the opening principle of Work on Your Game. What is the discipline? To show up every single day to do the work. Doing the work, ladies and gentlemen, does not always denote fun. Does not always mean it's going to be enjoyable. Doesn't always mean things are going to go the way that you want them to go. Doesn't mean you will always be happy to be there. It doesn't mean the other people who are there are going to be happy to see you there. It doesn't mean everything that you try is going to work out. It doesn't mean every idea you had will be accepted. It doesn't mean every idea you have is even going to be good. But you still got to show up and do the work. Do you have the discipline to do that? If you don't, then you'll never make the most of any opportunity. I don't care where it is, who you are, who's involved, who handed it to you, how favorable you think it will be. If you don't have the discipline to show up every single day and do the work, you will have a whole bunch of unfinished business in your life, a whole bunch of business that you started, a whole bunch of wells, we'll say, that you started digging that didn't get deep enough simply because you didn't have the discipline and the mental toughness to stick with it when things didn't look good. You started looking around for the next opportunity. All right, I'm digging this well. I'm about a mile deep, but the soil's getting too hard. All right, let me start a new one where the soil's easy on top. So let me start another mile deep one. Then you get a mile deep in that one. Same thing happens. You go start a new one. Same thing happens. You go start a new one. So you got a whole bunch of these. 1,000 feet rather, not a mile, but 1,000 feet deep rather, because that's a mile. You would have it solved, right? You gonna have a whole bunch of these 1/5 of the way, 20% done wells that you're supposed to be digging. They're supposed to be a mile deep, but all yours are only 20% of the way. Why? Because you don't have the discipline to keep working. Let's recap today's topic, which is your current opportunity is your best opportunity. If you are selling to people, the best thing you can offer them is a new opportunity. Why? Because 98% of people are always looking for the new thing because they don't have the discipline to stick to whatever they are already doing. If you are doing anything other than selling, you need to stop looking for the new thing and focus on where you are right now, because you have no guarantee that any other opportunity is going to be any better than the one that you have. At least you know everything about the one that you're in. Point number one, time in the game equals credibility. If you need open heart surgery, you're going to pick the surgeon who's done it hundreds of times over the person who is brand new and fresh out of medical school, simply because we trust someone who has time in the game doing what they're doing. We give credibility to longevity. While it is great to get new experiences in life, if you're hiring somebody and every job they've had, they only stay for a few months before they quit and found a new job, what do you think they're going to do when they come to your place? They're going to do the exact same thing. You're dating someone who's over 40 and never been in a long-term relationship. Do you think the chances of you getting them into one is pretty high? Probably not. Not because you're a bad person, not because people can't change, simply because human beings are creatures of habit. What we've done in the past is usually what we're going to do again in the future. Can people change? Absolutely. Do people change most of the time? No. Point number 2, definition of opportunity. A set of circumstances that makes things possible. Understand that the grass is not always greener. Just because your set of circumstances right now is not doing what you wanted to do does not mean by going somewhere else the circumstances will automatically become better. The current set of circumstances you have is the only one that you can be sure of having, and the only one you're sure of exactly what it is. Just because you got courtside seats to the basketball game doesn't mean you know what it feels like to play in one. All right, even though you're right there next to the court, being on the court and being right there in courtside seats are a million miles away. There's a million miles of space between the two. Seneca said, the person you are matters more than the place to which you go. Wherever you go, there you are. Just because you switch opportunities does not mean things are going to be better. Why? Because you are still the same person. Point number 3, stop running away every time things get tough. This is most people's problem when it comes to mental toughness. You cannot go a mile deep in anything if you stop digging as soon as the soil gets tough. You got to hang in there and keep working, work through things. And you got benched on your team, you don't have seniority at work, keep working and do what you're supposed to do. You will never get to that credibility spot of being an expert at anything if you're always quitting and running to the new thing every time things get tough. Things are supposed to get tough. When things get tough, that's the situation in life and the industry and the business and the sport or whatever it is, challenging you to find out if you really want to get to the top of it or you're just there for a joyride. Most people are there along for the joyride. Most people don't have the discipline. That's why most people don't ever work on their games. Dre, all.